Preeti, thanks for joining us on the show. Now, the second wave has been devastating, to say the least, and it affected almost everybody. It's perhaps been extra tough for those in the co working space. Amid so much gloom and uncertainty, what's been the mood like at WeWork?
Firstly, thanks for the opportunity to be here. Yes, the challenges caused by the pandemic have been felt across industries. And, with the prolonged work from home and extended time spent indoors, especially in the midst of this global gloom and doom because of the pandemic, I think the need for a sense of community is being felt more than ever before. And as a business, we've experienced a massive shift in demand towards flexibility, towards customization. I guess the main driving forces behind businesses opting for our spaces today are a need for flexibility, agility, also safety. One thing that we never maybe considered to this level before. And finally, community at the workplace. So, in my view, hybrid flexible work models are here to stay. And to meet this demand, we've done a fair bit of innovation. We've launched a few new products as well, like we work on demand, all access. We've got we work business solutions. And the intention has really been to support businesses of all sizes and give them the required liquidity in these trying times. The other bit, when we read a lot of articles of late where we are looking at organizations doing so much to give back to the community. So, community over commerce has been a guiding principle for a lot of organizations and enterprises over the last couple of years. For us, we have prioritized the well being of our people, our members, and recently we organized a vaccination drive which covered over 40,000, which was open to over 40,000 members across all our cities where we are present. And we've also gone out and opened it to non-members because we almost felt like it was a moral obligation to do it in these times. Similarly, for our employees, we've arranged a vaccination drive. We now have about 60% of our employees who got at least one dose of the vaccine. And, we've said that if you miss the vaccination, you will reimburse the cost of vaccination for you and your three dependents.
Understandably, there's been an unusual lull in the co-working spaces business. I just want to get a sense of how have you been keeping the staff engaged and motivated through this all?
Yeah. It's a question we get pretty often, but we have been incredibly busy. I think our focus has been on innovating for new products and driving member experience in a world which we've not been familiar with until about 18 months ago. So what we've done is we've ensured that there's a constant line of communication with our members, our employees, so that they feel part of a larger community. And for potential new members, we've arranged virtual tours. So because they can't really physically come to our workspaces, we've tried to do that so they get a sense of our environment. We've hosted numerous virtual events, campaigns to keep our community of employees and members engaged. We've invested in tons of professional development. This year, we launched our first ever further education program, and we dished out scholarships, 16 scholarships to people so that while they pursue their career with us, they can also learn and study and meet some of their personal aspirations. On the engagement end, we've done so much. So we launched something called Stories, which is basically done in a Facebook Live format. And we got a lot of famous personalities on that digital platform to engage with our members and employees. So we had Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, we had Kusha Kapila, Shireen Ban, we had Nikhil Kamath from Zerodha. And then similarly on wellness, we've done a whole lot of events. We got a lot of influencers and, fitness experts there. We did a partnership with Spotify as well, which is called On a Journey. And we had 2 seasons of that. One was focused on homegrown Indian brands, and the other one was focused on, achievers from the field of sports. So, in spite of the pandemic, I think we found different ways of keeping our members connected with each other and with our brand. And finally, I think this whole pandemic has really amplified the conversation around mental health, and just there's been so much of loneliness, because of this isolation from your colleagues, your network. And so what we did is we offered counseling services to our employees through an employee assistance program. So it's 100% confidential as well. And, our culture is so vibrant and we are so used to being in the office. So because people were working from home, they ended up just spending innumerable hours in front of their screens. And we got a lot of feedback that people are experiencing Zoom fatigue. So we recently, did this ritual where we said every other Friday it will be a Zoom-free Friday. So people just get some time to pause, reflect, rather than just hopping from one meeting to another meeting.
How many employees right now, Preeti, at WeWork India?
Yeah, so we have about 350 employees in 6 cities. Our average age is about 31 years. And about 92% of our employees are millennials. And we're also very proud of the diversity. So we have about 47% women. And even on our leadership team, we've got about 36% women. And, we're doing a lot on the inclusion and diversity front. So we've got different strands of diversity that we are focusing on, like LGBTQ, women, persons with disabilities, parents. So we are hoping that we have a much more well-rounded and diverse workforce in the future.
Right. Preeti, you did speak about, how the future of work is going to be flexible and it's most likely going to be a hybrid model, and of course, several tech giants, including Google, have adopted this sort of a format. So as several people experiment with remote working, how do you see this affecting your business particularly and your employees?
Yeah, it's a very relevant question for today. I think the pandemic has been a catalyst for a new future of work. And while companies prove that working from home is possible, most don't intend to be 100% remote forever. And a lot of studies suggest that the future of work is flexible. Just this weekend, I think there was a report by Microsoft as well in the Economic Times, where 3 in 4 Indian workers have said that they're keen on flexible remote options. However, 57% of those employees said that they actually feel overworked and they feel this digital intensity really increasing and taking over. And 73% said that they are craving for in-person time with their teams. So I believe that flexible workspaces can definitely drive the future of work. And we've seen a big demand shift. In fact, in terms of our member mix, we've seen a 10% increase in the number of enterprises, in the percentage of enterprises interested in flexible working and, taking up spaces with us. And, Q1 this year was actually our best sales quarter yet. And we had over 10,000 desks sold and we had 7 lakh square feet sold, which is actually over 10% of the total leasing in the market. So we are pretty bullish about the future being flexible, and we've also seen that because of health and safety now becoming a priority, people feel more confident about being in a co-working space because of the health and safety measures and protocol that we follow. In fact, we're the only co-working player in India with the British Safety Council accreditation. We also have a partnership with Dettol, all of that to just make sure that it's 100% safe and comfortable for our members and employees.
And Preeti, I think even as several companies do go remote or experiment with the remote sort of mode of working, the more I talk to people, the sense I get is that everybody seems to be on board about the fact that offline touch points are important. You know, you need to have some sort of physical interaction. And that is perhaps where, you come in, and you would probably be able to help address that gap, and where these companies don't have to actually take up physical spaces as offices, etc., right?
100%. I think a physical workspace, it becomes this sort of social hub for employees to connect. And, a lot of CEOs and founders, ultimately, you want your people to connect to your purpose and your vision, right? And I think problem solving that happens in person, or the power of conversations when there's conflict, or just the energy from ideating in a room together on a whiteboard together in person, or just brainstorming, things like that. I think they have a significant impact on a high performance culture. And also, ultimately, we're all social beings, and we want that connect and that relationship with our coworkers as well, right? It's not just about logging in and doing your bit and cashing your paycheck at the end of the month. So I think flexible workspaces definitely play a role there. But, I just want to talk to you about some of our product offerings also, which make sense to people. So we've launched a product called WeWork All Access, where our members can access any WeWork location across the country. And so any of our 6 cities, any of our 35 buildings. We've also got on demand. This is basically a daily pass where you can again book a space in any of our 35 buildings. Additionally, we are just piloting something called virtual office, where, let's say that you're a new business and you need a premium business address. So you sign up with us and you get access to our space. But also, because most of our spaces are in the hubs, of a lot of major cities, you also get that access to that network and also talent, to grow your business. So we've had a great response. We've already helped about 100 companies in this pilot phase, and we'll be launching, on a full-blown scale in June. So I just feel like even commercially speaking, right, the ease of scaling up or scaling down, as per the needs of a business, it gets much more easier if your workforce strategy or your workplace strategy includes flexible working, because in such times, nobody wants to be tied down with long-term real estate investments. This really gives you that ability to stay agile.
Preeti, this is something I tend to ask most people who come on the show, is that it's really not an easy task to balance output and growth with employees' well-being, right? Just want to get a sense from you, how do you find that balance at WeWork?
Firstly, I think I'm glad that you're asking this question, because, it's easy to swing one way or the other. And I think this whole period has made us realize more than ever before that culture is so critical, right? So culture is actually the company's immune system, and it's basically this glue that really keeps everybody together during such crisis or otherwise. So like a lot of great organizations, we do our best to hire great talent, which align with our values and add to our culture. In terms of our management style, we don't believe in micromanagement. We measure people by the what and the how. And we prefer to be less instructional, let people figure things out, but we give people context. So that allows people to really get to their potential. We also don't believe in handing out career paths to people. We believe that, if somebody is really driven, they're excited about big problems to solve, then in our environment, you have plenty of those. And then you run with it and you figure out your career growth and your milestones along the way. So I think our the way we do our performance management and our reward philosophy, all of that is pivoted on fairness, is pivoted on meritocracy, and finally we want people to look at their CV and really smile at how much that they've grown by virtue of being with us. So there's no dearth of learning on the job, and also in terms of leadership access, we have a lot of platforms where people can sign up to, we have something called Feedback Fridays where you can talk to anyone on the executive leadership, share your ideas and thoughts. We've got one-on-one connect with our people. We've got something called Creator, where you can work on a business problem or a business idea which is outside your job. So as a philosophy, we don't want to box people into functions or titles. We want to give them the space to really work across boundaries and, grow in the process. And we really believe that we are students for life, and that's something which is embedded into a lot of growth and development that we offer people.
Right. You mentioned leaders, Priti. Before we close, again, this is something I ask all leaders that I speak to, that they're, all just as human at the end of the day as anyone else. And in these times would feel just as vulnerable and anxious, right? So how can one find some peace and calm amidst balancing personal anxieties with those of the team?
Yeah, again, I think, thank you for acknowledging that. I think we often forget that leaders are also human, and this has been tough for everybody across the board. I feel very fortunate that I'm in a role where I can shape HR policies, practices, which can really have an impact on so many employees and their families. So I find solace in that. As a company, we've done a lot of fundraising efforts. We've, through our fundraising efforts, we've been able to build 38 makeshift hospitals, 8,000 beds, 10 oxygen generation plants, and 450,000 vaccinations. So that for me also has helped me shake myself out of some of that downward spiral and that feeling of helplessness that all of us experience. As a working mother, I think the pandemic gave me a chance to be physically around my daughter, which hadn't happened for so many years, because they're both caught up in our own lives. And so I've tried to see the glass half full and see how can I use this as an opportunity to bond and grow with her, So, and also like just look at the crisis and just be so grateful for what we have, right? Just being alive, being healthy, having a job, I think things we never acknowledged or things we took for granted, before. I think this is the time when we count those blessings. And this sense of gratitude has definitely helped me address some of those really distressing times where a lot of friends or family have been affected. And finally, I think somebody told me, a few days ago, like focus on two things, routine and relationships. Because routine gives you that sense of predictability, it allows you to get out of bed, get dressed, like do your thing, look after your health and fitness. So I've been trying to follow a routine and relationships. So though we can't see our loved ones as often as we want to, I think you can use the phone, pick up the phone, you do your video calls. So yeah, I think the routine and relationship bit has been my mantra.
Routine and relationships. That's a good note to end on, I think, Priti. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you for joining us on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. You stay safe too. Take care.
You too.